Greetings, fellow Terrans. Admiral Samwise Didier here. I'm gonna take you on a tour through the bowels and the depths of the Starcraft 2 art team. You ready? I know you are. Now, the Starcraft art team is made up of 3 bullpens. The 5-4, the Ninja Loa Lounge, and Tiki Village. Each one is ruled over by an art lead who supervises a group of animators, modelers, texture artists, UI artists, concept artists. You get the idea, right? Now, we do have a few artists that operate autonomously from these bullpens. They're very dangerous. You should handle them with extreme care and caution. That's your only warning you get. Now, the Starcraft art team is one of the oldest teams here at Blizzard. It's also one of the smallest, consisting of about 15 artists, but 5 of them grizzled veterans from the original Starcraft. So when we were making art for Starcraft 2, we didn't want to stray too far away from what the fans love, but we didn't want to rehash the same stuff we did 10 years ago. So we tried to stick to what we thought were the basic meat and potato units in the game. An example, when you think of Terrans, you think of Marines, siege tanks, battle cruisers, right? But everything else that's not the essential, they weren't so lucky. Poor Firebat. It's a good thing we made this big wall-hanging poster. All right, well, I guess it's time to muster the crew and get down to some business. Go on.
Well, one of the things we've really done with StarCraft 2 is we've made a crazy graphics engine that requires advanced shaders such as normal mapping, parallax occlusion mapping, all these other high-end words that I love to use, screen space ambient occlusion, I love those things. But the whole point of it, though, is we made the art high-tech, yet very artified, and still very readable and playable. So the final result, especially when you're on a high-end machine, is a beautiful play experience.
Basically for the art process, it's pretty diverse, again, depending on what we're doing, what we're making. But in general cases, like if we're making a unit, we'll go through a concepting phase, we'll kind of jam, have like kind of blue sky ideas, just like, hey, you know, what about this, and we'll kind of get some ideas out there.
We talk to Sammy about stuff if we have ideas. He kind of reins us in and makes sure that like this doesn't look Terran, or this is our stuff should be more, you know, X, Y, and Z.
With everything we make, we're trying to make sure it like really fits into that universe. And, like for instance, I made a wooden podium. It was like a tiny little project, 2 hours. And tried to squeeze it in, and then I got feedback from a couple different artists saying like, there isn't any wood anywhere in the game. You gotta shift it over to metal. And then after I do that, it's like, well, they wouldn't use like paper on the podium. They do like a little TV screen, or I'm like, they're really into the universe and what they would use. So
yeah, I think we've been really lucky where we've had enough time to make everything up to a standard of quality where we're like, okay, that's good enough. If I never get to touch this again, I think I'll be happy with how that drone looks. So, but I mean, everything, even like the larva, we're like, let's make the perfect larva. And it's like a dumb 3-segmented worm, but it's the best 3-segmented dumb worm we've ever built. We've even done it where we make the model and then we do a concept afterwards.
Shh, you can't wear secrets.
Secret.
Sorry.
Somebody like Sammy will just redraw it from like the model and like, hey, perfect, awesome, just how we intended.
For most of us, it's being a jack of all trades, being able to take stuff from nothing all the way to a final textured model, lit, ready to go in game. And then I give all my stuff to Jay, who makes it cool.
We're right across from each other. He's like, hey, if I model it this way, do you think we can get this thing to work like And it's just like, yeah, how about we do this, and then I can figure out a way, because I do a lot of the rigging and stuff like that, and he comes up with really cool models, and so I'm always looking at him like, how can I make this really interesting, like...
Gross.
Yeah, really gross. Tentacles and sphincters and things.
Sometimes, like, when we get the models, if they're revisions, what sometimes happens when we revise stuff is we'll tweak proportions, like, we need bigger shoulder pads on this guy, he needs to be taller, and the model we had will get really distorted, but it'll be what we want. And we'll say, okay, from here, let's make a, nice final version with all those changes in mind.
So what's really funny about StarCraft 1 was done in 3D first and then rendered to individual images, touched up in a 2D software package and made as sprites. So it's a 2D game. What's funny about it is our Marine now It's 3D. It's made up of vertices and polygons the same way as the original Starcraft one was. But the original Starcraft one was the cinematic model. It was actually a 1,000,000 polygon marine. We cannot even get close to what exactly that was. But what's really funny is the 1,000,000 polygon marine, only 8 pixels tall, is pretty ugly. So this time around though, our new marine, he's in the about a 1,500 polygon range. He actually has way more detail than the original Starcraft 1 marine does.
Yeah, you have to take in the fact that they're very small. The unit's pretty small, and that you're seeing it from 3/4 view. And the colors have to be bright so that it reads.
In the original StarCraft, like, because there's only 256 colors and only certain ranges for every race, I think a lot of people saw grittiness in there when it was actually just different pixels only being able to choose between 4 different colors.
You get 4 browns.
I think the palette basically from StarCraft 1 to StarCraft 2, we try to keep the whole vibe there and keep everything very familiar, but it's a little more gritty than say like Warcraft 3.
Yeah, most of the Terrans are like blocky and you know, it's like utilitarian stuff that you'd find where they would mash something together to make something else if they needed it in, you know, in the field.
Every unit we updated and stuff like that, there's definitely that we have to get this right to a certain caliber, because when people think of a Marine, this is what they think of.
Yeah.
And so there are always elements that had to carry over. And I think like Sammy had an awesome eye, like when we improved stuff like the Immortal from the Dragoon, in terms of, well, let's armor it up more and make it beefier, manlier. That's what we did. If you have a problem with those qualities, then you're not a man.
Everything we do, we're kind of looking back to StarCraft 1 and trying to think of, you know, how does this reflect on the original game, and how much are we improving upon it, how much are we changing it. The artists will a lot of times get something in looking the way they want it to look, and there's constantly this evaluation from QA looking at the performance on each individual unit and each individual effect, and it kind of comes back saying, hey, this one is too fat, you know. And then the hard choices have to start being made of where's that balance, how much do we cut it down, and can we still get it to look as good as they're trying to get it to look while performing well enough to support our goals for frame rate and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of push and pull there.
Some things are worth it, where it's like, hey, like the nuke, it's got to be over the top, it's got to be cool. If it's expensive, then, you know, if we got an arrow on one side, you know, I don't care if the plant or like the little, you know, the bottom of the marine foot is as detailed as like the top of like the mothership or something really cool like that. So kind of be smart about where we get bang for the buck at.
I'd say if you wanted to get it in the business, that you have to really enjoy, you know, doing, at least from an art point of view, like building models and creating things and drawing and stuff like that. If that's something that you really geek out on and you really love, then you know, this is a good place for you.
Basically just getting in there and learning the hardware, no matter if it's Maya or Max or, you know, Blender or whatever, and just get in there and trying to learn the basics of it. Because once you get that down, it doesn't matter what program you use, the fundamentals are all the same.
Photoshop. We do everything in Photoshop.
Everything's in
Photoshop. I don't know, you just gotta like keep at it and keep wanting to improve yourself, and you know, if you see something that's inspiring to you and awesome, try and figure out what makes that art cool and just keep busting your ass until you're getting up to that same level of quality. And if you know someone else who's doing good art, and just ask them, you know, pick their brain and just be like, tell me what you know. If they don't tell you, tie them up, drive out to a lake and ask them again. If they don't tell you,